Hello? 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 Look what I have. I never drink Dr. Pepper this late, and I also never drink Dr. Pepper at my house. But I have this one. Actually, I have a surprise. Look, I have this in a glass, and I also have this. Thoughts? Your nails are so cute. Are they not? They're press-ons. That's too much vodka for you? I do have an actual question. This is more, what is this, like 2 shots? How much is this? This is, 50 milliliters? How many milliliters are in a shot? 40 milliliters in it. Wait, there's 40 milliliters in one shot? Be real with me right now. This is important. How many milliliters in a shot? Hi, Ricky. How are you? I need a real answer. One shot is 44 milliliters. This is a shot? Huh? 44. Y'all, there's gotta be a universal answer for this. Surely. Okay, well, how about instead of the internet, I just use my brain? I think that this is like more like 2 shots. At least the kind of shots that I take. If I were to pour this into a shot glass, I am not drinking this whole thing in one go. There is no way. So I think that I would treat this like 2. That bottle would do absolutely nothing for me. Wow, that's awesome, Alfalfa. That's sick. I'm so happy for you. Girl, are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Yesterday, what did I do? I dug a hole for 2.5 hours. And then I went up to the tiny house. I showered. I got ready. And then I went to a networking event for 2 hours. And then I walked 10 minutes to another networking event for another 2 hours. And then I came home and then I filmed one about it. Oh, I also planked for 60 seconds yesterday and today. And then today, woke up, we had a staff meeting, and then I had another networking event. That's a lot in a single day. It doesn't really sound like that much, to be honest. It was like a 12-hour day, but that's not even that crazy. I think it was just because it was 4 hours straight, like no breaks, like 4 hours straight of networking that made it feel like a really long time. And then 2 hours today of that. And when I say networking, guys, I mean like you show up to an event, you get a cocktail, and then you gotta walk up to an existing group and say, "Hi, I'm Maya." You're going in there raw, you know what I mean? Like it's not like there's icebreakers. You also showed up alone to all 3 of the events, right? I don't even have a buddy to like stand with and like stand in the corner with. It is like you walk in there alone, you get a drink, and you're like, all right, who looks the most approachable here? And you walk up to just whoever you wish for the best. So I would die. You guys want to hear the strat, by the way? I have a new strategy. The new strategy is when you go to a networking event like that, you walk in, all you have to do, guys, is, for lack of better phrasing, pardon my language, raw dog, talk to one person. You gotta go in raw with one person, okay? You gotta walk up to one random person and be like, "Hey, I'm Maya here. What's your name? What are you doing here?" You know? And then you guys are standing together talking, right? And then you stand there with the one person, and then all you do for the rest of the networking event is you grab stragglers. Because here's the thing that you learn about adulthood as you enter it, right? Nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's lost. Everybody's anxious. Everybody's like, this sucks, right? Everybody's there. You just have to be disarming enough to get them out of it. So you stand talking with one person, and then you find people that are alone. The good thing about finding people that are alone, 2 things. 1, you're helping them because they're alone. 2, when you pull someone in and you say, "Hey, what's up? You want to hang out here?" Then you look like you're supposed to be there. And that is a great way to combat your imposter syndrome, right? You have one person. You went and talked to one person, and then you just start pulling people in. You say, "Hey, this is my friend Sarah. What's your name? What do you do?" And then you start collecting them, right? You start collecting them. And then you have 4 people in a circle, but they all think that you're the one who knows everyone in that circle because you are the one that knows everyone in that circle because you brought them all into the circle. And then when people start drifting and leaving on their own, it doesn't matter because there's always somebody who knows you in that circle because you collected them all into that group. And then when they go off, here's the great thing about doing that. When they go off into their own circles and they start talking to new people, they already know what you do. So they go talk to somebody like a communications person, for example, and they say, oh my God, you would love this girl Maya I just met. And then they bring them over to your circle, but they bring them in to talk to you. And then you look like you're the one that knows what's going on. Maybe you are the one that knows what's going on. I think I just explained networking. Wait, maybe I'm just good at it. Maybe I have imposter syndrome for real. I thought I was just faking it. Wait, actually, I think that's just what you're supposed to do. I've done a lot of networking this week. It's been really good. I've had some good conversations. I've handed out a lot of business cards. I've learned a lot. I've maybe even made some friends, believe it or not. And shout out to white wine. Anyway, it's been a long week. It's been a long week on a Tuesday night, and I'm going to drink this. Okay? I'm going to put it in my Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to drink it. For the record, I would drink a beer. I just don't have any left. What if I'm at a networking event, and they come up to me, but I'm shy, non-talkative? Do I mention I watch Hassan or something? I'm a nervous talker. So, like, no. Like, for sure, no. I would not say that. I would not say that. Here's what I did before going to this event, okay? It was an event with climate scientists, okay? And with the NRDC. On the drive there, I came up with 2 questions that I was going to have in my back pocket, assuming I go talk to a bunch of scientists, right? Climate scientists. And I asked those 2 questions probably 4 separate times at that one event. Turns out I really needed them. Just prepare some questions and then you can reuse them on people. It usually leads to more questions. So you can actually go and say, how's the weather? I didn't say that. No. No, you just say like, okay, at like normal networking events, what's your name? What's your sign? How's the weather up there? Wouldn't say any of those things. Are we cooked? No. Like, what's your major? If you're in college, sure. I think for a conference, you say like, where'd you fly in from? Or like, where are you local to? And then they'll tell you, and then you'll say, oh my gosh, I have a cousin that lives there. Because you probably do. Or like, you can lie, I guess, if you want. And then, you say, what do you do? What brings you to the conference? Is it your first conference? What do you think? Where are you staying? What's your social security number? Is this your first conference? Are you liking it so far, etc.? Yeah. What'd you do today? Like, what'd you see today? What's your favorite thing so far? Where were you on 9/11? Can I have a kidney? I was telling some girls that I was a Twitch streamer yesterday, and they were like, one of them was like, I only know one Twitch streamer. And I got scared, and I said, oh, who is it? And, you want to guess? Sketch, Ray, Pokimane, Ninja, Kai, Emily, Prezzo, Speed, Cutie, Hassan, correct. Yeah, it was Hassan. Yeah. She was like, yeah, I know that guy Hassan. And I was like, oh, yeah, same. She's like, what do you think about him? And I was like, you know. I think things about him. Is my go-to response to all the pleasantries. How's it going today? Oh, What do you do for work? You liking the conference so far? Yeah, Ooh, a fun one, if you're being really brave, is you can walk up into a group and you can say, howdy. And that really works for Texas conference. People, I'm going to be so real with you guys. They eat that shit up. Normies love that shit. You walk up, you say howdy, and they're like, howdy. And I'm like, you from Texas? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, I'm in Austin. They're like, well, that makes sense. They love that shit. They do. As an introvert, does it take a lot out of you, or have you gotten used to it? I'm going to be so real with you guys. You're going to call me crazy because I am a streamer. I would consider myself an introvert. That being said, I realize that I am very much on the extroverted spectrum of introversion. So I feel bad saying that I'm an introvert, but I do feel that way. It does take a lot out of me, but it is not like my worst nightmare. I've always been fine with like public speaking, and I do fine with small talk. So it's fine. I've learned that people like it when you're dorky and disarming off the bat. Makes them feel less awkward if you're awkward but sociable. Dude, also one of my strats, and this is not one that I would recommend to you at a networking event at all, but if they are under 30, swear in the first sentence. That's my disarming strategy. Probably not the move, okay? I would never do that if they were older, like, or if they were like above like 35, 45, right? But if they are under 30, you just throw in like a shit or a fuck, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah. And it makes it so much easier to talk to them. So how about this fucking weather? Howdy, fuckers. Yeah, that's what yeah. Shit, this conference is crazy. That was, okay, the last two guys that I talked to, they were probably my age, so like mid-20s. And I went up there and I was like, what's up, guys? Like, you've been to South by Southwest before? And they're like, no, like it's like, there's so much stuff to do. And I was like, yeah, shit's crazy, right? And then we talked and it was much easier. Very just like, you know, just like a subtle, Caitlin, thank you for the 17 months. What else can I tell you about that? Overall, they were really good. They were really good. I'm 23, working in nonprofit management, going to networking events, feeling like I need to approach people a generation or more older than me for some reason is so awkward. Yeah, I talked to a climate scientist today and asked if he had any children, and he said he had a 26-year-old daughter. And I was like, oh, I'm 26. And immediately I was like, I shouldn't have fucking said that. Because how are you going to network with someone when I'm the same age as his daughter? You know, it's just not going to, it's just not going to work. Anyway, people also love flattery. And I don't mean like, I love your shirt. You can say that, fine, whatever. But it's probably not going to get you anywhere. I think flattery works really well when even, this is mean. I personally don't do that. I've personally never done this. I just think that it's a good idea. Even if you don't think what they've said is like really well said, act like you do. Like, just be like, oh my gosh, like I never thought of it like that. That is such a smart way to say that. I love the way that you said that. You know, people love it. They love to feel important, which it totally makes sense. I went from this NRDC mixer to a Twitch mixer. I show up at the Twitch mixer at 7:04. There is one guy there. Sorry, it started at 7 p.m. I got there at 7:04, which like, I was like, all right, I'm rolling in kind of like a little late. You know, this is good. Like, people will be talking, chatting. One guy. There's one guy. Incredible. Amazing. You know what? I'm going to say it. I was talking to S-Fan yesterday, and we were talking about something completely unrelated. And he was like, yeah, I went to this event tonight. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, the Twitch mixer? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, you got there? Guys, I was at the Twitch mixer from 7 to 8:30. It ended at 9. And S-Man was like, yeah, I went to that mixer. And I was like, you got there over an hour and a half late? He's like, yeah. Like, what is the point? There was only 30 minutes left. What the frick? Incredible. Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I have a lot of thoughts. So that is good. I spoke at South by Southwest. I told you guys that. That went really well. Yeah. Huge success.